Ladies and gentlemen, let me start with a truth that may shake you to your core. If you are not in control of your own life, someone else is. Every single day, you are either leading yourself toward your purpose or you are drifting further away from it. There is no middle ground. Neutral is a myth. You're either advancing or retreating. You're either building your future or you're burying it. Leadership begins in the mirror because the very first person you must convince, correct, and command is yourself. The reflection staring back at you every morning is either your greatest ally or your greatest enemy. That face looking back has dreams, potential, and greatness, but it also has fears, doubts, and excuses. And the battle between those two sides doesn't happen out in the world. It happens right there in the mirror, in the silence where no one else can see. It is in that private place that leadership is born long before anyone else recognizes it. When you look in the mirror, you're not just seeing who you are. You are seeing who you could become if you decide to take control. Self-leadership is the foundation upon which every other kind of leadership is built. If you cannot direct your own steps, then no matter how much authority or influence you may have, it will crumble because the leader inside has not yet been developed. True leadership does not begin with commanding a room. It begins with commanding your own spirit, emotions, and thoughts. The mirror forces you to face accountability. You cannot hide from yourself. You can put on a show for others, wear a mask for the world, and talk a big game in public. But when you stand in front of the mirror, the truth is unavoidable. The mirror reflects whether you kept your promises to yourself, whether you followed through on your commitments, and whether you chose discipline or gave in to distraction. The honesty of the mirror is what makes it the true starting point of leadership. Every choice you make throughout the day can be traced back to how well you are leading yourself in that moment. Do you give in to the voice that says, stay comfortable, or the voice that says, push forward? Do you lead your appetites, your thoughts, and your emotions, or do you let them lead you? Leadership begins in the mirror because before you can influence others, you must prove to yourself that you can lead your own impulses, your own doubts, and your own habits into alignment with your vision. When you stand before the mirror, you are standing before the leader you are destined to become, but the reflection you see may not yet match that destiny. That gap between who you are and who you were created to be is where the work of self-leadership takes place. Every day you look in the mirror, you have an opportunity to close that gap by making choices that align with the greater version of yourself. That requires honesty, courage, and commitment to becoming more than what you see today. Leadership in the mirror is not glamorous. It is not about applause, recognition, or titles. It is about the unseen, uncelebrated decisions you make when no one else is watching. It's choosing to get up earlier, to stay disciplined, to read, to learn, to sacrifice, and to act with integrity. The mirror reveals whether you are consistent in those moments or if you are only performing when others are looking. That kind of honesty makes mirror leadership the hardest, but also the most rewarding form of leadership. The mirror also reflects your attitude toward responsibility. Do you blame circumstances, people, or luck for where you are? Or do you look into your own eyes and accept the truth that you are the one responsible for the direction of your life? Leadership begins in the mirror because responsibility cannot be delegated. No one else can lead your mind, your choices, or your character. Until you accept that responsibility when you look at yourself, you will never fully step into the power of leading others. Every time you look in the mirror, you are confronted with potential. You see not just the current version of yourself, but the possibility of what you could achieve if you decided to lead with greater intention. That potential is like raw material waiting to be shaped by discipline, vision, and consistent effort. But if you refuse to lead yourself, that potential will remain dormant and the reflection will never change. The mirror reminds you daily that greatness is possible, but not guaranteed. The discipline of mirror leadership creates trust with yourself. When you make promises and follow through, you begin to respect your own word. That respect builds confidence, and that confidence becomes the fuel for larger leadership in the world. Without that trust, you live in constant self-doubt, unable to believe in your own ability to carry out what you say. The mirror shows you whether your word means something to yourself or if it is just empty talk. The mirror is not a place of judgment, but a place of opportunity. Every time you face it, you have a chance to reset, to choose again, and to begin leading yourself with greater clarity. It is the one place where the truth cannot be hidden and where leadership always begins. Because until you can look into your own eyes and know that you are truly leading yourself, you will never be ready to lead anyone else. Neutral is a myth because life never pauses. Every moment you are either moving closer to your goals or drifting further away from them. People like to think they can stand still, play it safe, or just wait and see. But the truth is, the clock is always ticking. Time does not stop, and the world does not stop, which means if you are not advancing, you are falling behind. Neutrality feels comfortable, but it is only an illusion that hides the reality of decline. The myth of neutrality is dangerous because it tricks you into believing in a safe zone that does not exist. You might think you can coast, relax, and stay where you are, but life has currents. If you stop paddling, the current of distraction, fear, and complacency will pull you away from the shore of your purpose. Neutral sounds harmless, but in reality, it is a slow surrender. Without forward movement, you lose ground even if you cannot see it immediately. Every decision you make, no matter how small, is moving you in one direction or another. Choosing to study or choosing to scroll, choosing to exercise or choosing to stay in bed, choosing to speak life or choosing to complain. All of these choices shape who you are becoming. Neutrality suggests that you can avoid making a choice, but in reality, refusing to decide is still a decision. To delay action is to take the path of decline. Neutrality is simply another word for slow motion defeat. The reason neutral feels so tempting is because it avoids pressure. It avoids responsibility. It avoids the discomfort that comes with stretching yourself. Neutral feels like a safe hiding place where you don't have to confront your fears or face the possibility of failure. But the cost of that so-called safety is the erosion of your potential. By avoiding the risk of moving forward, you guarantee the loss of progress. What feels like safety today becomes regret tomorrow. Look at any area of life, relationships, health, finances, or character, and you will see that neutrality does not exist. If you stop investing in a relationship, it does not stay the same, it weakens. If you stop exercising, your health does not freeze, it declines. If you stop managing your money, your finances do not remain balanced, they unravel. If you stop growing your character, you do not stay steady, you begin to compromise. In every area, stagnation is simply the first stage of regression. Neutral is a myth because growth demands energy. To move forward requires effort, focus, and intention, but to drift backward requires nothing at all. That is why so many people mistakenly believe they are neutral. They are putting in no effort and assume that means nothing is happening. But in truth, decline is happening silently. Comfort is costing them. Time is stealing from them. And eventually, the gap between who they are and who they could have been becomes undeniable. Neutral disguises itself as patience. People say they are waiting for the right time, waiting for clarity, waiting for opportunity. But often, waiting is just fear dressed up as wisdom. The right time will never appear on its own, and opportunities rarely come to the passive. By refusing to move, by holding back, people convince themselves they are in neutral, but they are actually missing their moment. They are letting life slip away while they imagine they are standing still. There is no such thing as neutral because life operates under the law of momentum. Energy is either being directed toward progress or toward decay. Habits are either building you up or breaking you down. Thoughts are either strengthening your vision or sabotaging it. Every second is feeding one direction or another. Neutral is the comfort zone where momentum secretly shifts against you without you realizing it, until one day you look up and wonder how so much time was lost. When people cling to the idea of neutral, they often justify it by saying they don't want to make the wrong move. But the truth is, refusing to move at all is often the worst move. Fear of failure keeps people locked in place, believing they are safe, when in reality they are losing opportunities, losing growth, and losing the chance to build the life they desire. Neutrality is not safety, it is silent self-sabotage. It is the slow erosion of possibility disguised as peace. Neutral is a myth because life itself is motion. The seasons change, the body ages, the clock ticks, the world evolves, and opportunities appear and disappear. Everything is moving, shifting, and transforming, whether you act or not. To believe in neutral is to believe that you can step outside of reality, freeze the flow of time, and escape responsibility for your choices. But the truth is, you cannot pause existence. You are either rising or falling, advancing or retreating, gaining or losing. Neutral does not exist. Every choice builds or buries your future because every action, no matter how small, is a seed planted in the soil of tomorrow. What you decide to do in this very moment shapes the outcomes you will experience later. There are no wasted decisions. Even what seems insignificant, what you eat, what you read, how you spend your time, either contributes to your growth or contributes to your decline. Life is constructed by choices, brick by brick, until you find yourself living in the house you built through your habits and decisions. When you wake up in the morning and choose to get moving, you are building momentum toward a stronger version of yourself. When you choose to hit snooze repeatedly, you bury the discipline that could have carried you into new opportunities. When you choose to invest your time in learning, you are building knowledge that will compound and create value. When you choose distraction and entertainment over growth, you are burying hours of potential and weakening your future self. Every choice becomes either a foundation or a weight. The danger of choices is that they rarely show their full consequences immediately. A bad decision may not destroy your future today, but it begins to chip away at the structure of who you are becoming. Likewise, a good decision may not instantly deliver success, but it builds invisible strength that shows up later when you need it most. This is why people underestimate the power of daily decisions. They believe they are small and harmless, when in reality they are stacking up, either building a future worth living or burying the one they were meant to have. Think about the power of consistency. A single healthy meal does not transform your body, but the repeated choice to nourish yourself builds a stronger future. A single skipped workout does not bury your health, but the repeated choice to avoid discipline begins to erode it over time. One financial decision may not change your life, but a pattern of wise investing builds wealth, while a pattern of careless spending buries financial freedom. Your future is not decided by rare, dramatic events, but by the steady weight of everyday choices. Every choice builds or buries your future because choices create habits and habits create character. The person you become is the result of what you repeatedly choose to do. If you continually choose laziness, you bury your potential under layers of wasted time. If you continually choose courage, you build resilience that allows you to face greater challenges. If you continually choose integrity, you build trust and credibility that open doors. If you continually choose compromise, you bury your influence under the rubble of inconsistency. Your future is the sum of who your choices make you. The future is not built in some distant time. It is being built right now. The decision to listen or to ignore, to act or to delay, to take responsibility or to make excuses is laying the groundwork for what you will step into later. People often think their future will magically change without changing their choices, but that is impossible. The seeds you sow today are the harvest you will reap tomorrow. Whether that harvest is abundance or regret depends on what kind of seeds you are planting through your decisions. The weight of choice is heavy because no one else can make them for you. Others can advise, guide, or even pressure you, but at the end of the day, you decide whether you build or bury. You decide whether you follow through or quit. You decide whether you live with discipline or drift into distraction. Responsibility cannot be shifted, and the future cannot be cheated. The future you desire will only be created through the accumulation of wise choices that stack in your favor. Choices also reveal values. What you consistently choose shows what matters most to you, regardless of what you say. If you say you value